dissect. Give me a second,
All right.
Michelle. Hold on.
Oh, what's up? I'm Michelle.
And I'm Alondra, and it's
Welcome
another
to our
late night.
podcast. That's right. It's another late night. We got lots to talk about. First of all, we just started talking about the impending stock market crisis that we have going on. What should I do with my 401k? She asked me a minute ago.
For sure, because I mean, that's your little nest egg, right? You've been saving it since you were like your first job out of college and try to figure out what do you do with it, right? At this point, as you said, it's too late to sell, like something's impending. But I mean, you called it. I mean, it's a long-term investment, right? So there's no point in pulling it out or doing anything like that and taking a hit from a tax perspective.
Yep, precisely. Yep. I mean, we talked about this just a minute ago. Stock markets have cycles, and we are in that time where we're looking at a huge break in the market. But that just means there's a huge sale. Stock markets will be high again. Give it some time, and your money will do what it do. Stock markets typically always had an 8 to 10% return over the long haul per year. Compensates in some areas. We are due for a compensation and correction, and it looks like that's what we may be heading into right now.
For sure. For sure. Very, very crazy times. Very crazy times financially. We were talking about living in the gap. All right. So, during these times of recession, right, there's a segment of the population who's always kind of lived in what I like to call the gap, right? For the most part, they own their home, right? They live with family, own their home, only make enough to pay their taxes, and only make enough for Christmas gifts. And as a matter of fact, I was talking to my brother, and he said he had a coworker when he was in high school who would do exactly that. And he was content. If he wanted something, he would go buy it, but work for it, only work enough, only do enough to buy whatever he needed, and then he kept on keeping on. And I mean, it's people like those that during a recession, they're going to be fine because they've always been living like that. That's like their way of life, right? So
Yep.
I listened to this one lady, her name is Buffy Purcell. And she said, don't ask me how to make it in a recession. You need to ask those people that are kind of living in that gap, right? That know how to take ramen noodles and turn it into a meal for 20 people, know how to go to the dollar store and make it work, right? So,
Yep.
I
I
mean,
mean, when back in like 2008, when that crash happened, I had no idea.
mhm,
I didn't even know anything about the crash because my life didn't change at all. I was
yeah,
still already struggling. It didn't change anything for me. I literally
yeah,
had
for sure.
no idea. I had no idea about the 2008 crash until I started learning more about markets and getting into that whole area and crowd.
Yeah. And, and to your point, the folks like that are already, living in that, what I call the gap, right? Those folks are already struggling and they're making things work, right? And know how to make a dollar. Those folks are going to be fine because their money really it doesn't depend on a 9 to 5. So totally get that. Um, so I wanted to talk a little bit about Marilyn Manson. I know that
All right.
we touched about it last time, but let's talk about this a little bit. So I did a TikTok video that I had to take down regarding Manson and Evan Rachel Woods and her allegations, right? And the reason I took it down is because the way it came off kind of not really defending Manson, but it just came off like it just came off weird. So I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna take it down. Somebody said, hey, I feel I feel like you're defending Manson, and I'm like, that's really not the case, right? I'm
No,
just That's really not the case. But but I I'm
but
curious. Go
yeah.
ahead. Yeah, go
Oh
ahead,
yeah, I was
Michelle.
just saying like, but I mean, we got to take everything with what it is these days
You know,
because we need to hear the facts. We need to hear the whole story. If people want to throw something out there now, again, we talked about this on the last one. Amber's ruined a lot for a lot of women because
Yeah, she
she
has.
came out and did what she did. And now it's not believe all men. I mean, believe all women, because it's just not the case. There are some women out there who either regret decisions or have other malicious intent, and yeah.
So I was listening. There's this one girl. Should grab my phone and look her up. That actually does a YouTube video on Marilyn Manson, and she interviewed a couple of people. She interviewed Marilyn Manson's assistant, who happens to be Latina, by the way, and she interviewed what that she was previously. I don't know if she's Marilyn's assistant now. And then she interviewed one of Marilyn's ex-girlfriends. And recently, Dita Van Teese came out and said that, although she doesn't condone that type of behavior, but her experience with Manson was not that, right? And this ex-girlfriend of Manson, said her experience with Manson was not that. And Manson's assistant was like, look, I've never seen him, act that way, be aggressive, that he's a gentleman. So it's a weird
Mm,
dynamic here. You have a group of women that are defending him, and then you have a group of women that are saying no, he did X, Y, and Z. Now keep in mind, not this doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? But what it does mean, in regards to, and I'm just going to make it clear, I don't know, I'm not taking sides. I don't know what happened with Marilyn Manson and Rachel Woods. I have absolutely no idea. I'm keeping an open mind. But I will say, Evan Rachel Woods got involved with Manson during the time he was getting a divorce. He was divorcing Dita Van Teese. So during that time was when he was actually, you know, getting involved with her. Now, I don't know if she was the reason for the divorce. I know that Dita Von Teese has said that she divorced Manson because of infidelity. So I found that a little interesting. Now, I don't know if she was the cause of it. I don't know what happened. Also, one thing that the assistant did say, now I haven't verified, but nobody's really said that any of these women were underage. They were very young women, very young, but they were all the age of consent.
right.
So now, that's not to say that there's not jerks, people that are willing to take advantage of you. But here's the thing, and I find it rather interesting. When we were growing up, we knew that there was predators out there. Like, those were kind of the things that you knew as a young woman. Does it make it right? Absolutely not. But you knew that you had to take care of yourself because of that. So I don't know what happened. I really don't know who. I'm very, very neutral on this whole situation, but to your point, it's right. Amber did ruin a lot of things for a lot of women, you know? Would I have believed Evan Rachel Woods? I don't know. I mean, it's not up to me to believe anything. At the end of the day, it's her truth, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's her truth, but what is the truth, right? I say, let's see the facts, let's see the receipts, let's see the text messages, let's see whatever else. And while that may be invasive and impersonal, I mean,
Hmm.
they, they brought their stories to the light, and now it's time to see.
I am interested if they're going to televise the court case, like the case, like they did Johnny Depp's case. Like, is the judge going to allow that?
Yeah. That one may be a little
Yes.
bit different. I don't know if they'll get to choose where they have that, because it's not necessarily like the op-ed. The op-ed allowed it to where Johnny could essentially pick wherever, because it was broadcast to the entire United States in a news thingy, as opposed to
Well,
Evan Rachel Woods.
it was a show. I think she did a show on HBO. She
Oh,
did a documentary called Phoenix Rising.
oh, all right. Well, that might give him the open. He might want to go over to Virginia or something like Johnny did.
I'm I'm curious. And Johnny and Manson are good friends.
Yeah.
I just don't see Johnny tolerating somebody who is an abuser in their relationship. Granted, you don't know. You don't know. One of the things
Yeah,
I do say is that these women
I
were so
that's true.
young.
Yeah.
Were so young, right? And that was my TikTok. My TikTok was really saying that these women were so young. Um and it's unfortunate that whether it's true or not, like again, it's all alleged, that they got involved with somebody that would hurt them that way or realized, wait a minute, I was manipulated. But keep in mind, who I can't say that everybody's relationship that you've bumped into has been healthy. You know
Sure.
what I mean? Like,
But they're
uh,
like seemingly pretty good friends. Manson was over for Thanksgiving dinner. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
that is a very sticky situation to see someone like Johnny in, right? In a relationship with, like, a friendship with somebody who he would know abused women. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just can't see that. Johnny associates typically with like fairly good hearted people.
yeah.
So,
For sure, for sure. So I'm
I don't
interested
know.
how this is all going to play out. I'm interested how the court case is going to play out. I don't really have an opinion at this point either way. Um, I hope that this girl gets her life back together, whatever she's going through, you know, or whatever hurt her, that she gets some sort of healing. And all the other women that were involved, although I'm not sure, I haven't really read too much about the other women. Definitely, Evan Rachel Woods has been the most vocal about the situation. But I think with everything that's going on, and after coming off the heels of the Johnny Depp case, obviously what's going on in the Supreme Court, what's going on with the recession, what's going on with everything, I think people are just very exhausted um, with just news in general. Because
Yeah,
I mean, it's a tough
a
time.
lot.
People worried about what's going to happen, right? The recession, is a recession really truly coming? Um, is like
Roe
all
v.
everybody
Wade,
else is saying.
all the
Yeah,
things.
that whole situation with Roe v. Wade, and honestly, think I think because we're on social media, both of us, that we see a lot of it on social media and on that platform. But I
Yeah,
think people who are really on the grind are more worried about how they're going to feed their children. Like that's not even in
yeah.
their
There's so much
vision.
right now.
No,
So
they're worried
much.
about gas prices, right? How they're going to get to work,
Yeah,
with almost $5 a gallon worth of gas. They're worried about how they're going to feed their kids. They're worried about, those things. I mean, those essentials become a priority to folks, right? Then everything else is just like, I don't have time for the noise, right? I have to work 2 jobs, sleep 5 hours, make sure my kids are fed and clothed and that we have rent, food on the table, all of those
yeah.
things. I
I
think
don't
those are
know.
what people kind of worry about.
I think Roe v. Wade is pretty important to people because it's not just about the right to an abortion or not. It's also because they also shot down basically privacy, right? Like, privacy has basically been assumed, which doesn't just have to do with abortion. And then you've got Justice Thomas coming out talking about also we need to look at um, prophylactics, right? And so prophylactics do a lot more than just keep people from getting pregnant. Like, my daughter
Yeah, for
takes
sure.
them because she literally would bleed to death without them.
Yeah.
So they regulate her periods because she's had to
Yeah.
have a blood transfusion.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, she's not sexually active. She doesn't go anywhere to be around anybody. And so I know she's not sexually active, but she's been taking these since she was younger
Yeah, for sure.
because of needing them for health.
Yeah.
Um,
A lot of women do that. Fibroids, things of that nature, right? They have to use them for regulating their periods. Um, Honestly, I will be honest with you. Just I really don't think that the person that's working 2 or 3 jobs is really worried about that. Honestly, by all intents and purposes, they're more worried about putting food on their table than they are worried about what's happening in the Supreme Court. It's sad, right? I
But
think people
look
should
at
worry about
right,
what's going on in the Supreme Court, but I don't think they are.
but
Honestly
they
don't.
will be, right? Because if they accidentally get pregnant and they can't afford that baby, they can't also abort it.
Yeah, they're gonna have to go out of if they're going to, they're gonna have to go out of state, right?
But they're not going to be able to because a lot of the states are limiting women being able to travel in terms of that. And so some of the red states are looking at possibly having it to where women are going to have to take a birth control test before leaving the state. I mean, a birth control test, a pregnancy test before leaving the state.
How are they gonna manage that? There's no way
Oh,
that
it's
can
a
be managed.
logistical nightmare for sure,
Yeah, there's
but
no way they're gonna be able to
the
manage that.
precedent for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't even have they don't, there's not an infrastructure, there's no way they'd be able to manage that.
Yeah.
If
No.
people, I really do think that, to your point, yeah, it's going to impact them when they come up with that situation. Um, I don't know. I mean, are they going to go to Mexico? Who knows? Right? We're in a
Yeah.
border
Well,
state.
I'm
Are
sure
they going to
there'll be
travel to
other
California?
states in the US, right?
Are
Like
they
there's
going
going
to
to
go
be
to
other states in the
California's
US.
California? You know,
Yeah, California, I'm sure New York.
New York, those states. Texas already made its decision, and so is Oklahoma. Um, and I
Yeah,
think
Texas
those women
already
are
has
probably going
one
to
of
go
the
to.
trigger laws that outlawed it.
Yeah, I think women will probably go to Mexico. I think women will go to Mexico. Hold on, I'll take care of it. Leave it there. Okay, leave it there. I'll take care of it. Okay, I'm sorry. She's being so loud. It's like, oh, and they don't have a bedtime. Yeah, I don't.
Oh dear
I think
God, no. My kids have a bedtime. They go to bed
no. They don't have a bedtime.
9 o'clock.
So yeah, I just really do think that people will go. I mean, they'll find ways.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of back alley abortions and stuff like that. The sad thing will be too if they start to instate, just like they did with that mom who had the miscarriage in Texas, right?
What happened?
I think she
Yeah, I
was
don't know the
criminally
details.
charged and she had a miscarriage
I don't know the details. How could she be criminally charged with a miscarriage?
because there's no way to prove if you didn't cause the miscarriage. And that's something
Mm,
else that is one of the bigger problems too, is because there's no way to tell if you had a spontaneous miscarriage or if you took a plan B and had a miscarriage.
yeah, I have absolutely no idea. I think what we're gonna have is, um, I think, what we're gonna have is a lot of influx of women taking Plan B, right? Having access to that.
But not in Texas. Plan B is
I
not
mean,
okay.
they'll have access to it if they want to
You
go
can get
get
it on Amazon
medication.
right now.
Yeah, Amazon, or you can go to Mexico and get that. I mean, all of that is. I mean, it's a reality. It's a reality, right? So,
Mhm.
and I don't necessarily condone this, but I know
Right.
because I went to a church that had a lot of I went to a church that was minorities, like a lot of minorities, a lot of first gen immigrants, a lot of immigrants, and you better believe if they need to get, they would find ways to get penicillin. If they had, because
Oh
you,
yeah.
you you keep in mind they don't have insurance, right? They don't have, they don't have benefits, and some don't even have money to go to doctor. They would find ways to get, you know, a
Uh-huh.
penicillin for infections. I mean, there was ways of those folks trying to get all these things. I've always said that the people that are working class or that are new immigrants, they're going to find ways to survive because
Yeah.
that's how they've lived their whole lives, right? And
Well,
so,
when you go to the hospital after taking that plan B and having a miscarriage though, and the hospital nurse thinks that you aborted your own baby, they're going to be able to turn you into the state, whether you aborted that baby or had a miscarriage. If that nurse feels like that, that's what happened to that girl recently with the miscarriage. The nurse
I
basically
think
reported her.
I think it's going to happen to women of color, to be honest with you. I don't think it's going to impact um I don't think it's going to impact white women like that. I really don't. It would surprise me if it did. I think it's an opportunity to put women of color in prison for sure, right? But
Both.
I don't
Well,
think
women
that
in
the impact.
general, if you look at what it seems like they're trying to do, because if you get in trouble for this, it's basically a felony. And if you're a felon, you can't vote anymore.
They're not going to do that to white women. I don't think
I
so.
think it's a woman
I,
thing.
I don't know. I disagree with that. I really do disagree with that. I think because and here's my whole thing, my argument with that. So it is a woman thing, right? Agree with that. But I also think that there has been like lack of support within the women's movement in general, right? Lack of support
Oh, for
from
sure.
white women to women of color. And this has happened for a while now, right? So you have indigenous, it's only when it started to impact white women, like now this is impacting white women, that now they're all like, okay, let's
Up in
minority women
arms.
get together
Yeah.
and lock arms. When the reality is when women of color, particularly African American women, are dying at the hands of sometimes gynecologists and obstetricians who don't deal with their pain threshold, you do not see, you know, women coming to rally as a whole for them. When you see
Yeah.
indigenous women disappearing in reservations and missing, you don't see that same sisterhood. So I honestly don't think, because historically in this country, right, the people that go to jail, if you look statistically for men, have been
Yeah.
men of color, right?
Right.
So with that said, I don't why would they increase putting white women in putting them in positions where they would get felonies? That's just not historically accurate in this country. This country has a history of oppressing people of color. So I don't know if that would happen. I honestly don't think so. It would be very surprising to me because, if anything, I really do think people who aren't of color, right, who are of European descent, have the ultimate bro code. You guys, they take care of themselves
Mm, I don't
to the
know.
point.
I don't know about that. I don't think really anybody's supporting anybody right now, whether it's white women supporting white women or white women supporting other races, especially with who literally just made this decision is extremist conservative men who literally want to strip women of their rights. Like it's in part of their platform for 2022. Not so much in those words, but pretty much. And it's not just about race. That seems to be part of their thing though too, because they do want to look at making certain voting restrictions and take away some of the acts like the um, Equal Rights Act is
Mhm,
something that they're running on right now and basically wanted to make it end when it ended back in 79 essentially. um,
mhm,
all the videos that I'm making right now, specifically reading the 2022 platform for the Conservative Party, for the GOP party. Um, I mean, I'm reading it so people don't have to read it. I'm reading it word for word, trying to make it fun, trying to make it interesting so people can really see what's going on with the GOP party right now, especially here in Texas, and what they're running on this year. I mean, it's literally they're saying the quiet part out loud. So, yeah, I would definitely check out the videos that I have on my TikTok reading, if we don't do something here in Texas, what Texas is going to look like over the next couple of years.
what it's gonna look like. Yeah, I have not been keeping up with what the GOP has to say. As a matter of fact, to be honest with you, I haven't really been keeping up politically with anything. Like it's just too much. So I don't know what's. I know the big things that are going on with Roe v. Wade. I know what historically has happened to people of color in this country, but I'm not really haven't been keeping up with, where they plan to go directionally or what they plan to do. Um, so I mean, it's interesting to see what directionally they plan to do with the state of Texas. I have been seeing a lot of videos talking about Texas becoming its own country. I just think that's ridiculous personally. But
That
right now
is
we live in
part
a
of their platform for
yeah.
2022 as well, because the Texas Constitution actually states that Texas is pretty much its own thing, and that the federal government is impending on its Texas Constitution to be seceded from the United States. That is part of their 2022 platform as well.
Wow, I don't know if I mean, are they serious about it?
They're dead serious. It is part of their literally where I got their platform from is directly from texasgop.org. It's their 2022 agenda. And that's why I'm reading it word for word, trying to make it exciting to let people see and pay attention to what the people who are already running this state. They also, part of their 2022 platform is they want Texas to have its own electoral college that will in turn vote on state officials. So the electoral college members will be voted in by the populace of the state, so the populace of the citizens. That electoral college will then decide what elected officials will be seated in Texas.
Wow. Wow, it's very interesting. Very interesting, for sure.
And there's so much more. They want to overturn the EPA and get rid of the EPA. They want to get rid of the supposedly overstepping of the um, Endangered Species Act, to where the Endangered Species Act doesn't matter and the state cannot come in and claim land that has endangered species on it. Yeah, it's literally so extremist, and they just do not care anymore. Like they're just putting it
Oh,
all
wow.
out there for people because I don't know why. I mean, it seems to be that extremist is not getting shot down by them, and people are fine with it in the party seemingly. And so I think they just keep throwing the most extremist shit they can out there and seeing what sticks and what doesn't.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Oh,
So stay
wow.
tuned. I mean, watch my TikToks. I'm telling you, there's nothing about it that I'm changing. I'm not changing any of the words about it at all. I'm reading it word for word. It is crazy. Like it's literally crazy.
That's insane.
This
I
is
have
why we need
no
informed voters.
wow. 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 Yeah, I did not know that they were going there directionally. It was
Yep.
weird times, bizarre times we're living in. Bizarre times. I saw somewhere that for every dollar that Texas gives to the federal government, they only get 94 cents back. I don't know how true that is. So here's the thing. I don't
The
know how
red
true this.
states are the most funded by the federal government.
Yeah. I
All
I
red
don't know
states.
what's true. I don't know what's true. I absolutely have no clue. I haven't deep dived into any of this. I don't know. The only thing I know about Roe versus Wade is it's reverted back to the states so the states can make that decision.
And
It
there were
is
25 states that had trigger laws that made it automatically illegal once Roe was overturned to have an abortion, and Texas is one of those.
so here's what I think. How soon, right? They knew this was coming.
Tonight,
Yeah,
as
but
of
they knew this.
tonight, the moment it was
Yeah,
overturned. Yeah,
yeah. But if they didn't know it was coming, they wouldn't have made preparations for it. You know what I'm saying? Like they had. Well, we knew it was coming because that leaked document for sure, for sure.
right, right. And they instilled trigger laws for when it happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Is yeah. I've not kept up with any of that. Not at all.
And the sad
Uh,
thing is you're not the only one. Like
Yeah.
millions of people out there are so overwhelmed by what's going on, and they just don't have the time because they're working multiple jobs, they're taking care of their kids, they're continuously just trying to live their life because there's so much coming at them with like all of these things that are going on, from the pandemic to the polio outbreak in the UK to the meningitis outbreak in Florida to like all of the things, and that's why today I'm like, I can't do this. Like, we have to have informed voters. Like, know what your party stands for. And so I'm making these videos after I get done with the 2022 platform for the GOP party. I will be doing the Democratic Party as well. So, but I felt it was at most need for people to see the 2022 GOP platform
to see.
immediately.
I think it's we've always had people that have wanted to turn Texas into its own country. Like that's always been, I guess, ever since they became part of the United States. I guess, right? I
Yeah,
I don't know how realistic that is for them, but at this point, like I'm like everybody else. I'm tired. I'm tired. Don't have time to worry about things that I can't control. As a matter of fact, I was having a conversation with this lady, and she was going off on this, on all of this that's going on, like totally. And she's like, "I'm just tired," and, and she went off.
we're all
And
tired.
here's the thing. The thing is that people look. Let me tell you something. I'm not tied or married to any thought or idea that comes out of my mouth. Sometimes, I mean, there's certain things that I mean that are critical, that are crucial, that I think that are like no debates, but that are no debates for me, right, in my mind. But
Right.
could somebody convince me otherwise about stuff that yeah, absolutely, right? Like if I have all the facts and I'm informed, I can think like, okay, well, this is what's going on, right? Um, but I mean, I don't know. Right now. I just, I don't know. I don't like the way this country is going. I don't like it the way it is directionally. I felt that there was a moment in time when people really cared. Our politicians really cared. I don't know if they ever really cared, but really worried about the people. And right now, I just feel that it's more about their interest. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just sad.
I feel that there was a time when it seemed like more of them were in the middle and they could come to agreements and at least get shit done that would kind of help the people. But right now it's just like two extremists,
Yeah,
right?
two
We've got one
extremists.
side who wants to completely lock everybody down, force everybody to get a vaccine, and all of that is just not for everybody, right? Like, be responsible, take care of your family, do what's right for you and your family, don't be negligent, don't be irresponsible, but also take in consideration all the things. And then we've got the other side who, the people supporting the right are claiming the left is trying to take control of everything, but then you've got the right who's also doing the same thing but on their own agenda. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, pick your poison. You can have the communist left or you can have the freaking Soviet right, like, pick your poison. So, well, I guess Soviet
Why?
was what, communist, right? So look more towards the regime that's trying to cleanse everybody on the right, and then the Communist Party on the left. I don't know. It's a debacle right now.
Yeah, for sure. It is kind of like a different, yeah, for sure. Hey, Michelle, I don't see you anymore.
I'm here.
You there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Good,
here.
good, good. I was just checking if you were there. Yeah, I just think it's kind of like it's a rather interesting time. Rather
Yeah,
interesting time,
this is the
for
time
sure.
more than any that we need informed voters. And so, the cool thing with TikTok is it's making it easy for people to be informed, because there's people like me out there who want to help people be informed, and
Yeah.
making videos about it, because most people aren't going to go read this multi-page document with a bunch of words in it because it's boring, over the
No.
platforms and what they stand for or the bills that are happening and stuff like that.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. I mean, I'm not like I wouldn't stop and read that. Wouldn't even have the time. But to your point, if they can do like 3-minute bites, right, of that information, then it's more palatable.
Right. Yeah, all my videos that I'm making on this are all under 3 minutes. Um, I've connected each one. I've tried to make them exciting by the way I talk, by the way I stop, and by the way I also when I'm reading it, I go, so like for instance, the EPA, if somebody doesn't really know what the EPA is and what it does, I also tell you what that's for, what it does, the different acts and the different amendments and the different things. I also read those off and what they are and what they mean and why they're important.
Yeah, like the Environmental Protection Agency for sure.
The census, like the different amendments, the all of the different things that it talks about. That way, someone's not just hearing Article 1, section blah blah blah. Like, okay, what is that? What does that even
What
mean
does
to
that
me? What
mean?
is
You're just breaking
exactly?
it down. Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
that's the way people are learning these days. So one of the things from my training course was how people learn, right? And one of the interesting is that one of the teachers, he was a high school teacher, but he also did adult learning, and he said, "Look, what we do is we do chunk learning." I was like, "What is that called?" He's all like, "It means we talk about we teach for 15 minutes. They teach for 15 minutes and then discuss the topic for 15 minutes. Teach for 15, discuss it for 15." I
Yeah.
thought that was
Then it
really
sticks better.
interesting. So it sticks better. So I thought that was like a really interesting style of um of teaching, which I wrote down. But yeah, I mean, they're teaching like that in the high school, and that's how adult learners are going to have to learn in the future. It's going to be 15 minutes of information. So the fact that you're putting that information in a more palatable form, I think people are going to enjoy it for sure.
I hope so. I hope it gets pushed out with the algorithm and stuff, and hopefully the followers that I have watch it. I try not to be as biased as possible as I can, so it's just facts. Um, a little bit of my bias does show in there, but I don't try to just bash them. So it does get out there to those people, because people who vote blue and have always voted blue, they don't care what the Democrat or what the GOP platform is, because they're not voting for them. They don't care. They're going to vote blue. The people that need to see these videos primarily are the people who already vote red, who have been voting red,
Hmm.
or the people who have always been in the middle and voted red because it just suited them a little better. Um,
Yeah,
those are the people who really need to see these videos, so they can really see that this year who they who they vote for their gubernatorial race in November is very, very important, probably more important than it has been ever in the history of the United States.
it's almost like, but it's so funny because it's almost like picking a team, right? People decide, okay, I'm gonna
It
vote red,
sucks. Yeah.
blue, and that's it. And I'm not gonna worry about what their platform is. I don't care. It's gonna take time. I wish we went back to the time where this was all like a grassroots, right? That there were people that were really interested in public service, weren't interested in making this a method of making money, right? Because let's
Yeah.
be real here, some of these folks are making a lot of money, right? And living
Yep.
very wealthy lives on both sides. And it's really the American people that are suffering.
Yeah. Well, Congress and Senate used to get paid on a per session basis. They didn't get a salary. They got paid when they worked, and that was it.
Yeah.
And they moved it to having a salary now, and they get to decide on what their salaries are and when they increase it. Can you imagine
Yeah.
having a job where you get to decide what your income is and you get to decide when your increases are and how much they are? Nobody else gets to do that.
And then the other thing is having, how should I put it? Not having any repercussions, being able to talk crazy to people without
Yep,
having HR step in. Like you can give your own salary, increase your own salary, talk crazy to people and never get fired. At some point I think that you should. And they're like, well, if
yep,
no, I think that if you're doing X, Y, and Z, you should get, I don't know, reprimanded somehow, fined, I don't know,
for sure.
whatever it is.
Pretty much every single member right now needs to be removed,
Yeah.
because they're not doing their jobs. They're not. They're both sitting extremist on both sides and nothing's getting done. And we need
Yeah.
some people who are sensible, who can agree on things, and who don't just hold this two-party system is really screwing people terribly,
Yeah.
because it's like choose this or choose this, and that's your two choices. When people are not just all this or all this. I mean, yes, you have your extremists who are always going to be that, but the large majority of the United States are not that. They are in the middle. While they, for instance, with abortion, right? Like, while they don't think women should go out and get 10 abortions a year, they also think abortion should be available to people for medical reasons, for rape, for incest, for children who get pregnant, even if it was they're 17 or something, 17 or 18, and made a decision that impacted them in this way. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Or gun rights, where people they don't feel like guns should all be taken away, but they do feel that there needs to be background checks. People on
Yeah.
psychiatric medication shouldn't be able to buy a gun. Like, if you're on psychiatric medication, you are unstable. You are on medication that you can't even live your life normally, and now you need a medication to stabilize you, which typically those don't stabilize you. They give you more psychiatric issues, and yet you are allowed to buy a gun.
Yeah. 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 And I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's something that definitely needs to be addressed.
And I can't
I
believe that
mean, and
Beto is the Democrats' best choice for this year. Like, out of all the people in Texas that are Democrat, all of them, Beto is our best choice.
you know what? I don't know how to feel about him. I really don't. I don't know how to feel. I
Yeah.
There's something and I'll be honest, there's something I don't like about a border politician. Like, the moment you tell me that you're from a border town, it's like nails on a chalkboard. Like, but then I don't like the current state now either. So I'm just like, am I gonna like who can I tolerate? Whose company can I tolerate for 5 minutes? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's at that point, like, and I just, there's something about a border politician that I don't like. But I
Yeah.
mean, who knows? I mean, he did come out. I will say this: he is saying all the right things at this point, right?
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
then,
I have a hard time with him based off of one of the statements that he had already made previously about coming and just taking the guns, right? Like, he literally came out and said yes, he would do that. The last time I think he ran, and I just don't think that that's a good stance to have behind you when you're looking at running against who you're running against, you know?
yeah,
That's
for
not a way
sure,
to get people in the middle on the right to vote for you.
for sure. Like, I don't. I'm getting hot with the light, the ring light. I'm like, it's hot.
Uh,
Yeah, no, that's not right for people. Like, you're right. Like, if you're gonna be saying all those things he's said so far, I really haven't kept up with him. I don't know. I mean, it's like he's like the guy that wants to be like so bad that he's willing to say anything to be cool, and you're just like,
yeah.
nah, nah, you
Yeah,
can't sit at the cool kid table.
I don't, I don't know. I just get this vibe with him that it's just something's off.
It's like
Something's
you're
off.
right. It's a weird vibe. It's a vibe. There's just something that just doesn't sit right, and I hate to say it, but that's what it is. I don't know I don't know. He's just it is. You're right. I can't put my finger on it. It's a vibe. It's a weird vibe.
We need
Um
some middle of the road Democratic, like, it would be good to see a woman, but in Texas I find that hard to
like an
happen.
Ann Richards, you know,
Ann
like
Richards.
yeah, she was the governor of Texas, Democrat, female.
Okay. I don't know
Yeah,
a lot about
okay.
her. I would definitely have to look into her.
Like an Ann Richards, or maybe, you know, maybe I think you know who I think has a shot and he'll be middle of the road and he has a shot at it. And granted he's an actor, I really do think Matthew has a shot at it. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I would, as crazy as it seems, because he is an actor, I would vote for him because out of the choices that we have, I like him the best because he's very down to earth. And I think he considers stuff, and a lot of people are like, oh, he's an actor, he should stay in his lane. I mean, he's a pretty down to earth dude. And like, he just all around seems to care about stuff. He has really deep thought on things. Um, I think he would be a way better choice than Beto for sure.
I think if he plays it, I think Matthew would do it. I think Matthew would run. As a matter of fact, honestly, I think Matthew could be president. I
Yeah.
really do think he could.
I think he would win the popular appeal for sure, just because it is what it is with him. I think people can feel connected to him.
And I think the way he handled the whole, obviously when he's from Uvalde, the way he handled everything, reaching out, showed a very, very human piece. The fact that he went all
Right.
the way to Washington, D.C., and he said, I'm going to speak on behalf of these parents in support of them, really shows a really human side. And to your point, passionate, right? So what you really want is somebody who's going to be passionate, that you can look at them and when they give a speak that he really cares about people. And that's what's been missing from politicians. Now that I'm
Yeah.
talking it through with this, I
Yeah.
care about you. And none of them on either side of both parties, I think might get a little bit of that from AOC to an extent, but not the whole. My
She's kind of
priority,
extreme.
yeah,
She's
she's
like
kind of
left
extreme.
extreme. Yeah.
Yeah, she's extreme. But it's the I care about your needs. I don't care whether you're Democratic or Republican. I don't care if you donate money to me or not. What I care is my priority when I took that oath that I'm gonna take care of people, right? And I'm gonna be
Yeah.
ethical and
That your
moral and
life is
all of
better.
these things. Yes, that's
Yeah.
what missing. But see, that's what McConaughey had when he went to did that speech to the press about that situation. He was passionate. You knew that he cared about what he was, and he cared about the people in that community, right? And that's what's missing from politicians today. they I feel like there's not like, I have your best interest at heart. I
Yeah.
feel like they don't. They're not conveying that message. It's, I have my best interest at heart, but I don't care what happens to you, right? How your feelings don't matter to me. And that's the kind of sense that I get with it, is that that's the feeling that that you get. Now, if we can find somebody that would be able to say, I care about you. I may not agree with everything you do. I may not agree with your life choices, but I care about you, right?
Hmm.
There's a couple of
Yep.
people that do that, that I've met a couple of people that have either, you know, been that way. The thing is that once you've meet, that there's people that are like that, right, in this world. I just wish that they would run for office.
I would,
They're just not running for office.
this past year, I have felt so called to politics, but I like do not know where to begin with even. I mean, they say go to like your local seats and see, stuff like that, but I don't know, it's one of those things too where I feel like I could connect with the majority of people, right? Like, I'm a single mother of 3 kids, I have special needs kids, I've worked in the school district, I've worked as a paramedic firefighter. um, I can see from many different aspects. I've struggled. I've been in the middle class. I've never been in the upper class, so I can't really connect too much with them, but I have mingled with them and understand a lot of their insights, um, stuff like that. So I don't know. Politics it feels like it's calling me because I am middle of the road and I feel like we need more sensible, middle of the road people to get things done. Not wishy-washy people, but like people who don't stand all one or all the other, where they can give and take in certain areas, like the harder issues like gun laws, abortion, medical stuff, things like that, healthcare. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you can certainly start by joining one of the parties, right? Whether it's the Democratic or Republican. I'm not going to ask you what you are.
Yeah,
Joining
well,
one of
see,
the
and that's
parties,
the hard thing because it's like choose one of the parties that you don't like. That's
yeah,
who
that
you
you
have to
can
run for.
affiliate with, or you can do a Green Party, right? And then they do certain things. Like, for example, party members, if you want to run, they'll, make a decision to back you, and they'll provide funding, training, all of these things. You just have to figure out what you want to be affiliated with, right?
Yeah. Well, and it's who would accept you, right? So if you look at the right now, they are so extreme that if you are not on board with their basically cult that they have going on, because Cheney is not going to make a difference, and neither is Kaczynski, is that his name or something like that? They're the two that are doing the January 6th hearing, but they are Republicans. They're kind of middle of the road Republicans.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know, because
I mean,
I don't feel that. I mean, I think I could be on board with like a moderate, like a conservative moderate, but more on the moderate side, like definitely not on the far conservative side. But I also love Bernie. I love what Bernie stands for. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I do see where our systems need to be doing a lot more for people who don't have things like healthcare,
oh, for
you know,
sure. For sure. And I think and people are like, well, we are probably the only country that doesn't have healthcare. Like, there's other countries that don't, but you know what I mean? Like,
on our
it just
on our
makes
playing field.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, on our playing field, it
Developed
makes sense to do
countries.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes sense that we should have something, right? But I
Most
don't
countries
know. I
pay the
mean,
same tax rate as us and have healthcare.
yeah,
Pretty
somebody
much
needs to
the
tell me
same
how
tax
this is
rate.
all budgeted. So I'm like getting interested. Like, I want to start doing the math. Where's the money that I'm paying into Social Security and I'm paying into all these other things going? I have absolutely no idea. I'm clueless. I'm sure it's
Yeah.
buried somewhere in some sort of financial. But I think it's important that if we're paying into a tax system, that we know where that money's going, right?
Well, the Conservative Party, their 2022 platform again, they actually want to do away with those services
With what?
like Social Security and Medicare and stuff.
Because they don't have money for it. I mean, in all honesty, that money's gone. Like, that money's
Yeah.
been allocated, it's been earmarked to other things. So basically, they're telling us what we already know. No, you ain't getting any because there's nobody there to give.
800 billion, 800 billion is going to our military contracts. That's where our money is going. 800 billion is going to our military contracts.
So, I mean, I mean, basically, it's gone.
Yeah.
You know what? I will have to say that, at least they're honest. We want to do away with it. Wink, wink. It's gone. It's we don't have it. They should just say it. We're getting rid of Social Security because guess what? We don't have it. It's already gone.
Yeah.
That money came and went. Yeah, but I wish I knew. I mean, I haven't read any. To be honest, Michelle, to me, it's like I only keep up with certain things, and that's it. Other than that, it's one of the things I learned in my classes. Adults are selective. They're selective learners, right? They
Mhm.
research what interests them. I
Well,
feel I
everybody's
am
like
in
that.
this.
I mean, kids,
Yeah,
adults, everybody. If it's
yeah. I
boring, you don't want to
feel.
learn it.
Yeah, exactly. I feel that I'm at the point. I feel that things have been going so out of control that I don't feel that there's anything I can do that is within my control, right? like everything's been going when there's a small win, oh, celebration, but everything
Yeah.
they're going so far away from what the American people want as a whole, as a collective, that it doesn't matter what I say, right?
Yeah.
Unless I go off and, to your point, run for office and become a real, um, you know, contender, right? Other than that, but from that sense, like you know,
Well,
what
turning
do you,
out for the
what's,
November election is going to make a huge difference because
yeah,
if we can change who our governor is, that's going that and our, electoral college seats that we have for the federal government, stuff like that for our voting and things like that. Like that is going to be key this year is
yeah,
changing out our governors and stuff like that. Our, mayors, that would be good. But each little city is what it is because you got little towns like where you live that's just straight up conservative. But as it grows, it will start to become more democratic.
hmm, yeah, it is. My little town's conservative.
Oh,
I mean,
extremely
heck,
conservative.
the
Yeah.
mayor grew up here. Everybody's like, "Where are you from?" Grew up here, lived here, happy here.
Yep.
I
Yep.
did it.
Because it was
I
a
did.
little country town. It was farmers. But now it's
Yeah,
not. Now it's turning into actual communities of people, and that's typically what turns cities blue.
yeah, yeah. So we'll see how that all turns out. That is very
Hmm?
interesting.
I could learn how to drink.
Oops. Yeah, that is super interesting. Yeah, it is a little town. You're right. It's like, oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, it is a little town. It's farmers, and now it's not. You're right. It's a little community for sure, for sure, for sure, for sure. So let's talk about something a little bit lighter on the lighter side. So Brad Pitt did an interview with GQ.
Oh, I saw that. That was terrible.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how you can take a man, and he's a man that is in his 60s. I mean, he's not in his 60s, 58 years old, but he's pushing 60.
Yeah.
Says he's in his last leg, which I get that. Like, I figure, like, at some point you got to say, even though you may love what you do, at some point you're not gonna get the phone calls. You're 50 or 58-year-old actor with all these like young guys coming in. You're not, I mean, granted, you may be an icon, but at the same time, like, what roles are going to be coming your way. He's got a couple of projects, but he's saying he's in his last leg. He quit smoking, which I didn't know he was a smoker. Um, and like a big smoker, which,
Yeah. Well, who
whatever,
would have
whatever.
thought?
And then they made him look corpse like on the cover,
Yeah.
like
It looks
totally like a corpse.
terrible.
I don't know why they did that to that man. Poor man. I told him he needs to get a refund, is what I said. I said, you need to go back to GQ and say, I want my money back.
Yeah, it did not look good. It looked very plastic work. Like, yeah, kind of corpse-ish, like makeup on a corpse type. Yeah. I think
His
he said
uncle,
he's retiring because he has face blindness.
he has what?
Face blindness, it has something to do with like not being able to tell faces. Like
Oh,
the in your brain you have this system that basically picks out faces and it remembers faces and it distinguishes faces. Well, his is broken and he has trouble like distinguishing faces and seeing faces and stuff. And so he thinks that it will make his job hard. I believe it was him. I believe it was Brad Pitt.
face blindness. Oh, it's a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah, it's a
totally a
thing.
thing. It's called
It's a thing.
pro
Yeah,
it's called
it's
prosopagnosia. A person with
yeah.
pregnancy may avoid social interaction and develop social anxiety disorder. They may have difficulty forming relationships or experience problems with their career. Episodes aren't uncommon. Some people, it's called face blindness.
Yeah.
Okay, he reveals he suffers from that. How long has he suffered from that?
I don't know. I just heard about it.
Are you something that you're born with? Oh man, that's not a good thing.
Yeah,
So face blindness, can you be diagnosed at a young age? You know, like
I don't know. I literally just heard about it with him.
I'm
So
thinking maybe I have, you know what? I'm thinking maybe I do.
you have face blindness. You
Maybe
don't recognize people.
well, I do recognize people, but sometimes I don't. Like it's one of those things that sometimes I do, and then sometimes I don't. It's a
Can you
neurological
distinguish faces?
disorder. Wait a minute. I remember you. I
Okay.
know a person maybe avoid. There's some. It's acquired where people develop after sustaining damage to the brain. Oh, what happened to his brain? I mean, of course, he's saying he got
I
that.
mean,
I'm
he's
just
been
looking
an
at.
actor.
Yeah, he's been an actor, but here I'm looking at. I don't know if this is a reputable website. This is a UK website. NHS, whatever that means, right? It says face blindness often affects people from birth and is usually a problem a person has most of their life. It can be a severe impact on their everyday. The impact, okay, I don't care about the impact. What causes it? So there's two types, Michelle. There's one where that you have it without brain damage, developmental where a person has without having brain damage, and acquired where a person develops after brain damage, often following a stroke or a head injury. What happened, Brad?
Brad Pitt reveals he suffers from that. Nobody believes me, he says.
Because he got it acquired. Acquired is rare. When someone
He
acquires
says,
after
okay,
how
so
did
it actually says that Brad Pitt thinks he has undiagnosed face blindness.
oh
That's
well
what it says.
that's okay, Brad. Yeah, be quiet. He just I don't know, he's just thinking that in his head. It's like I think I have it. You know what? He had me think let me tell you, Michelle, because he thought he had it, he had me thinking that I had it. I'm like, maybe I have that too. You
Self-diagnosis
know?
going on.
I'm like, maybe. Because sometimes somebody say, hey, what's up? Hey, Alondra, whatever, whatever. And then I'll be like, I don't know who that person is. Do you know what I mean? So
But should
I
you know who
feel,
that person is? That's the
or should
question.
I know who that person is? Sometimes I forget people that I've met because I meet so many people that I forget. Um,
Yeah.
you know
I don't
what?
know if
I
that's
don't
face.
think he
I don't
has
know if
it.
that's face
I
blindness. I think that's just
I think he thinks he
acting.
has it because things like that have happened to him, like happened to me, where you like meet somebody's, hey, we met, and you're like, I don't remember meeting this person. But it really is that you're distracted, right?
Yeah.
That's what happened to Brad. Brad, you don't have face progno, you just paying attention to other things. Like that's something if you have, like you know your whole life. You know what I mean? It's not something
Yeah.
that you just kind of like at 58 figure, oh, I think I have that. But you know
Yeah.
what?
Unless something
Not
happened, right? Unless something
unless
happened.
something happened. Like he must have had some like some now I don't know any of this because obviously,
It's all
I don't. I
speculation.
mean, I would know. This is all speculation, but yeah, based on that. You know what else happened to Bruce Willis? Did you hear about him? He can't
Yeah.
he's retired too. He has aphasia.
Aphasia.
Aphasia?
Yeah. He
Yeah,
has
he
trouble
has
swallowing and talking.
Oh, how did that happen?
I don't know.
You know what? It's so funny. I mean, well, the only actor that got there's some actors that get, but these, I mean, they
I
had
mean,
these,
Bruce Willis is in his like 60s, right?
yeah, but he's also had a very hard life. He was
Harder than
spotted
Charlie
running
Sheen.
errands with Emma
He's
when they
almost
had that sort
70.
of.
He's 67.
Oh, oh man, I didn't know he was 67.
Yeah.
Oh man, he stepped back from acting. Oh, I didn't know Rumor Willis was 33. Scott was 30. He's got like daughters in his 30s, and then he's got like young kids. and he's out there, but how is it going to impact? Oh, his wife is young, but looks like so he was out. What does that mean? What's aphasia? What does it mean? I don't know what that means.
Speaking.
You seeking it? Are you gonna read it?
Can you hear me? Can you hear
Let
me?
me just close. Yeah, I can hear you. Do you hear me? Yeah, I can
Yeah.
hear you. Can you hear me?
Aphasia is trouble swallowing and speaking.
So he just can't speak. He used to.
Yeah.
So that's why he's getting away from acting. You know what? I really like Bruce Willis. I'm sad for him. I mean, at least it's not like any sort of like mental disorder. You know what I mean? Like, well, it is. It's neurological, but at
It's a
least it's not.
neurological thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it at least he still has his. He may not be able to speak, which is going to be difficult, but he can learn sign language and do other things. Unless it's not like an Alzheimer's diagnosis or a dementia diagnosis.
Well, that begs the question on why he has it, right?
Yeah.
Like what's
Oh,
causing it?
that's right.
Is it
That's right.
dementia? Is it just weakness of the muscles? Like what's causing it?
That's right. The underlying, and of course, she's not going to say, right? Because that's something
Sure.
very private if you're going through it, and
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
something,
you would
and
think
it's
his
something.
doctors would be good enough that he would know if something major is causing it. But yeah, I could definitely see where probably not going to be
Yeah.
coming out into the public and just saying it until he's
No.
further along, if that's
Further
the
in,
case.
my dad
Yeah.
passed of dementia. Like he passed of it and having to go through the whole process of, at first not knowing where he's going. And then, I mean, it is anybody who has had a parent or he's known somebody who has gone through that dementia, it's the steps of like going through and seeing this person being very healthy adult to deteriorating where they can't even eat or
Yeah.
forget how to use a fork. It's very, very sad and difficult. It's difficult for the whole family. So I can't imagine. Hopefully he's just, that's the extent of it and he doesn't have anything else going on with him. Of course, it's all speculation.
Right. Yeah.
So sad. So sad. I don't like when people get sick like that, especially when they have, I mean, anybody, right? It's just like the whole thing about being a celebrity, but anybody. And it's just, even though he's 67, they're still very healthy 67-year-olds. And Brad's 58, which is really Brad. I don't know why he's going through. And to your point, it begs the question, he thinks he has it, but why does he think he has that? Did he have some sort of brain injury? Did he have some sort of medical condition, right? That he's not
Right.
talking about? you know, that
Yeah.
caused him
Yep.
to have that. And now he's saying, well, I'm gonna, like leave acting behind. It always interests me, people's like dynamic, like people who are in Hollywood, we make this assumption that they have this certain way of thinking and this certain, but then you really don't forget your roots, right? Like if you're from Springfield, Missouri, you're going to be from Springfield, Missouri, you know,
Hmm.
regardless.
Yeah. I think we
If
forget that they're actually people, you know?
Yeah, yeah, people. And so when you hear somebody like Bruce Willis getting some sort of, the good thing is what they do is they do bring awareness to otherwise, unknown issues that I didn't know there was a thing as face blindness. I didn't know there was a thing.
Yeah, I had
And I
no
didn't know
idea.
I didn't know there was a thing that Bruce Willis had. Like, I knew that people lost their ability to speak, but there's always a reason for that. I didn't know that there was like a name for it. So for
Yeah.
sure, rather interesting. It's sad. Oh, I don't like people being sick like that.
Circle of
For
life.
sure. I know. I know. Either people come do that. I mean, it happens to everybody, right? Eventually, you get older, and you hope that you're going to get older and be healthy. But the reality is, you can't help that. Like, you can be as healthy as you can, but again, right? that you can't control that.
Yeah, genetics plays part of the factor, your lifestyle plays part of the factor, the stress in your life plays factor. Like stress can turn on different genes as well
Yeah.
in your body. So yeah, you can only do the best that you can, with managing your genes and stuff. There is I went to this charity event, I think it was March, and they had these other charities there, and one of them is called My Faulty Gene, and
Hmm.
it's free from what I understood, that anybody can go on to, I think it's like myfaultygene.org or something like that, and
Hmm.
get your genetic testing done to see if you are predisposed to like breast cancer or different kinds of cancers and stuff like that, to help prevent, you know, future cases of you having it and things.
That's what Angelina Jolie did when she
Yeah, she
found
did
that
double
gene.
mastectomy.
And she did double mastectomy, and then she had a hysterectomy, and all of
Yeah,
those things. Yeah,
that's crazy.
yeah, it is. But I
That's
mean,
crazy because I mean, do you take out all, like, she took out all her breast tissue, all of it? Like,
she took her breast. sh- Yeah, that's what I thought. She had a double mastectomy. I also thought that she had a hysterectomy.
it's crazy. I
So
already had that.
I thought that she had that. That it was like it wasn't just like yeah. I think she did. She had all of that because
That's wild.
she did those yeah, genetic testing, so that's why she had a double mastectomy, and then I thought she also had a hysterectomy. She oh no, she not a hysterectomy. She also undergone surgery to remove her ovaries and fallopian tubes.
Oh, okay. So she was predisposed to like ovarian cancer then?
I guess. Yeah,
Because
and
I mean,
you know
why
what?
else remove your ovaries but not your uterus? Like,
Yeah, she didn't move her uterus. She moved her uterus and her fallopian tubes. You know what? I don't blame her at all, especially if you have so many kids like that. Like she has a lot of children. Like,
yeah,
you know, any mother would probably try to do whatever they could to make sure that they stuck around for their kids. And when she had them, her kids were little. They're still not big kids. Like I think her oldest ones are teenagers, but they're still, they still need their mom.
yeah, yeah. I've seen her daughter at like some dance studio. She can dance really, really good.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that. Um, and I didn't really report on it. You know how I report on stuff like that on my channel. I really don't.
Hmm.
I try not to report on people's kids. It's funny. It's funny that I draw the line at that. Like I
Oh, at
really
kids.
try not to. Yeah, I don't mess with people's kids. Like I don't. I
Yeah,
feel that if the parent decided to be in the limelight, then the parent, I'll talk about the parent. I also don't like to post. I rarely do, unless their kids are grown, but I rarely
yeah.
post pictures of a celebrity with their children. Or I don't, if I feel like something's like too egregious and too like weird, I also won't perpetuate certain things like that I think are like, you know what, I don't want to post that. So I do
Questionable.
draw
Yeah,
it's funny that I do draw the line on certain things, you know, because at the end of the day, right, I'm doing this for fun, right? This is
yeah,
what I enjoy doing. So I draw the line at certain things. So I mean, it's to me, TikTok is like a hobby. So there are certain things I draw the line. One, I really try not to talk about politics on my page, right? Typically not. But two, when it comes to gossip, I don't like posting people's kids. Even if they post them, I just don't feel comfortable. I do it very rarely, right? I have, but very rarely. And then I also, you know, don't like if the gossip is too crazy, then I don't like to get into it. Or if it's something that's going to make me feel bad, unless I feel like I have to. Like the whole Uvalde situation, I had to post it. It wasn't about, it was more about my way of saying enough is enough, right? Like we need to do something.
Yeah,
Um
for sure. For
so
sure.
I do have some sort of criteria on what I decide to post. And I saw that, but I decided not to post on the little girl dancing. She did an amazing job though.
Yeah,
I
she
mean,
did
an
really good.
amazing job.
She looks
So,
just like Angelina too. Like literally the perfect mix of her and Brad.
oh, for sure, she's gonna be a knockout when she grows up, right? To decide what she ever wants to be. I don't know how, what she ever wants to be. For some reason, in my mind, I see like one of Brad and Angelina's kids become like some sort of missionary or something. You know what I mean? Like going off there, but like being a missionary.
Like
And I
Angelina.
don't
Yeah.
know if it's because of Brad Pitt's Bible Belt roots, but I just feel one of his kids is going to do some like humanitarian effort, you know, like a missionary or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Angelina does a lot of that work, you know.
She does. She does do a lot of humanitarian work, and is very involved globally and all of that stuff, which good for her. She has a platform to discuss those things and address those issues, right? That obviously a lot of people don't have. So, because of their celebrity, right?
Yeah.
So, I think that's a good thing. But yeah, what was I watching on her? I was watching this whole not Angelina, it was this little documentary on Jennifer Aniston, and when she went through that whole situation when Brad left her for Angelina, and it was just going every step of the way of how she felt, how people are just kind of, and I think it has to be bizarre that people are still commenting about a relationship that ended years and years ago, and I'm sure she's already
Yeah.
moved on, you know? But it was just talking about why that it was because he wanted to start a family and she didn't, and blah blah blah, and all of these things. And I don't know, sometimes I think things aren't that complicated. I just think he had a feeling and he went for it, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. I don't
I
think it was
mean, does
anything.
Jennifer Aniston have kids right now? She doesn't,
No,
right?
she doesn't. She doesn't.
Then I mean that could be true.
Well, I think for women, it's like, is this the right person you want to have a child with? Like, I think that you have to, when you're married, you have to have that, like, do I want to have a kid with this person, or do I want to have a kid? And she only had two, I think she's only been married twice, which is Brad, right? And after that, she didn't get married. The next time she got married with, what was his name? He's always with his pit bull. Let me see how many marriages Jennifer Aniston has had. Oops, lose me. Jennifer Aniston.
Oh, I know we've talked about Elon Musk's kids, right? Did you hear that? I had no idea that one of his kids were 18. I did not know that. And apparently, well, because he has six boys, right? Well, he
Mm-hmm.
had six boys. One of them is a transgender female, and
Oh,
she's
I didn't know that.
18 now. I I didn't either. She literally put out a thing trying to distance herself from Elon and said she wants nothing to do with him, does not want any association with him because he's put some, I guess, like transphobic style posts on TikTok or something. I don't know. I haven't seen them, so I don't know. Um, but I just thought that was kind of a
I thought that
shock.
I did not know that because he keeps that private life kind of private. Um,
Well, I didn't realize that it was 18 years ago that he had his, I guess, first kids.
well, I mean, he is in his pushing 50.
Yeah. But every
So,
picture that you see of his kids, they're all little. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I've never
Uh,
once seen his kids grown up.
I wonder if he's how he is as a parent. You know what I mean? Like, I've
Well, he
always
said
wondered
he
how he
loves
is.
being a dad and that, it was his choice to bring kids into the world, and so basically, you owe your kids everything because they didn't choose to be here. You chose for them to be here. And so, like, I mean, I get he's an extremely busy person, but when he's not at the factories, he says that he is with his kids. Like, but I know that he's also doing a lot of other stuff because he likes Burning Man and he likes going to, I guess, like these crazy parties and
I
stuff like
don't
that.
know.
So
I know that you like Elon.
I don't
I'm
know him
on the
personally.
fence.
So
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I'm on the fence on him. I'm gonna wait and see with Elon. See what happens with him. Um, Justin
yeah,
Thorough.
well,
That's who she was
I
married
mean,
to.
he is a Bernie supporter. He was a Democrat because they were always the nice party, but I don't know. I kind of side with him that right now the Democratic Party is pushing a lot of people who are in the middle or like had no other choice of voting. They're really pushing them away right now.
That's true.
And the only other choice is the fucking other side. Oops, F bomb, but it is the other side, which is not good. But there is
Mm,
no other choice. There's nowhere else for us to go.
yeah, yeah. Um, it was Justin Thorough. That's who Aniston was married to. Justin
Who's
Thorough.
that?
I don't know. In 2015, they got married. They only lasted 2 years. And 2015 was 7 years ago. She's 53, so she was in her 40s. She
That's
made him
so
not want to.
crazy.
Yeah, I don't think she probably would have had I think I don't think she met the right person to have a kid with. Like there's women that won't have children outside of wedlock. They
Yeah,
just won't. And so if you're one of those women that's not going to have a child out of wedlock and you've only been married twice and the second time you got married in your 40s, at your 40s you got to really seriously think, is this a time that I want to have a kid? All right? Do I
it's a
want
really
to
hard time for a woman to have a kid.
and I have friends who have kids. I mean, as you know, I'm in my 40s and I have friends who have kids, very young children, in their 40s, um, grade school age. Um, but I guess you enjoy them. But again, you're right. It's a different age, right? I think you have more patience for them, right? Um,
Yeah,
more patience, but at the same time, it's like, okay, I've had my single lifestyle
maybe,
this long.
maybe,
Uh,
but it's harder.
Oh, yeah, it was harder. One of them adopted. The other one, she had her kids just older. But yeah,
Yeah, my mom
yeah,
was 30 when she had me.
yeah,
I
yeah.
definitely
So,
wish I would have waited till I was older to have kids for sure.
yeah, that's true. I mean, some people wait till they're older, some people wait till they're younger. I don't know. It just I mean, it just happens. I'm assuming it happens when it happens, right? You can't control that. Um, I mean,
To an extent.
yeah, to an
I mean, you
extent,
can
you're
control
right.
it to an extent.
There's
There are a
certain
lot of
things you can
factors in
control.
there. There are a lot of
Yeah,
factors in there.
yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, so maybe she just decided not to have kids, and he had a lot of kids with Angelina, adopted and had, twins and all these other children. Their divorce is technically not finalized. Do you realize that?
Oh,
There's
why not?
they're because of the money, because the way that they're dividing things. They had so much money combined, so many businesses that it's just been really difficult for them to kind of I think they're single. They separated their finances, so they're single technically, but technically they're still tied up financially. That has got to be like a nightmare, you know?
Speaking of court cases, have you heard the update that happened like today or yesterday about the Amber Heard Johnny Depp case? Like they
Oh,
went to court to like finalize things.
mhm.
So Judge Penny, because you know how Amber was like trying to seal all the documents and shit. Judge
Yeah.
Penny was like, "Nah, I don't think so. Everything is unsealed completely." Elaine was like, "Judge, I hope you had a good break," and Judge Penny was like, "Okay, like I saw what you were saying about me on TV, basically. Okay." Like she didn't say that, but she did say when Elaine said, "I hope you had a good break," she goes, okay." And then Amber is talking about an appeal. Judge Penny said, "Okay, you're thinking about appeal. That's cool. You're gonna need to put up the whole thing of money plus 6% per year if you want to appeal."
Oh, wow.
Yep.
I
And
don't know.
there was stipulation about Johnny maybe giving her leeway or whatever. Nope. They want the whole thing.
Oh, so Johnny's making her pay.
Yeah.
He's like, "I want
But
my
they
money back."
also, so in the US there's this thing that like after your trial, after your case, you're allowed to go talk about it with like no repercussions or whatever. So like that interview that she did was covered within that leeway of whatever the stipulation is that you can talk about your case, where she can't be charged with anything talking bad about Johnny. But
Yeah.
that has now expired, and anything
Mhm.
that she does after today, she can be sued again for defamation
She's
again.
it's funny because I've seen picture like they've had her I don't know, it's gotta be her PR team. Or else how would they have known unless somebody linked it to his TMZ? But she was in the Hamptons shopping and they showed a
Oh, at the
picture
grocery
of
store? Yeah.
grocery store and all, and then trying just showing her doing normal things. They had her at TJ Maxx with her sister, or,
Yeah, I saw those.
shopping at TJ Maxx. I don't know if she was shopping at TJ Maxx.
Well, it
I'm
was the
trying
TJ Maxx that's in like a really expensive neighborhood. That I saw somebody talking about it, and they said that
oh, so it wasn't like
that
the
TJ
cheap
Maxx
BJ.
is in like a really expensive neighborhood. Where was that one at? I'm trying to think of where that one was, but yeah, I mean it was like multi-million-dollar neighborhood ish area. So
Oh, okay. So yeah, they
yeah,
took a picture of her there, and then when they spotted, she left, and then posted that. Who cares? I'm done with her. I didn't care for her as an actress. The trial's over. What made her remotely interesting was Johnny Depp. I mean, to be, instant purposes,
yeah.
right? Like, I didn't
Well,
know her
in that
before.
picture at the grocery store, she literally looks like she has that same mark on her face. And I think it's just her cheek filler.
Oh, I wonder what she's gonna do. I wonder if she's gonna declare bankruptcy, and she obviously gets to keep her home. I wonder what she's gonna do,
He
like
can
in
put a
order for
lien
her
on
not
it.
to be. That's true, but in
I
order
mean,
for
if he
her to,
really wanted to keep fucking with her,
I don't
he
think.
could do a lot. He could, any money that she gets, he could put garnishments on it. He could
Mhm.
put a lien on any property she owns, from cars to houses, anything.
I don't know where I read, but I heard that she had signed a multi-million-dollar book deal. But how can she sign that?
Any book place that does that with her is incredibly dumb, because now she can be sued again for defamation again, and any book company that takes that on can also be sued, because it's already been proven that it was defamatory statements. That would be insane for any credible book company to take that on.
Let me see. I heard she had a book deal.
No, no, I heard too, but it would be incredibly stupid for any credible book company to do that.
Is broke. Oh, look, she's looking for a revenge tell-all book deal because she's broke. I think, somebody's financing her. If she was broke, then how come who paid for her private jet?
A lot of people say that she's mailing Elon Musk because of some sex. This is all alleged, all alleged. Some wild sex party that she attended with, I guess, him and Cara Delevingne. Um, but basically, that she was told to do some dance naughty things, and she's blackmailing him from that party, but it can't be brought to light because there were too many big name people at this party, and it's all speculation. I don't know the truth about this, but that's what people are speculating, is that Elon Musk, also possibly the father of her little child, is financing her.
I think that there's a strong possibility that he is financing her.
Oh yeah. I mean, who else would
Uh,
be? I don't think anybody
yeah.
else would want to be associated with her.
But he's got his own issues right now. He's got little kids, and then he's got that 18-year-old wanting to not be a Musk anymore.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely, that was crazy because, like I said, I had no idea his kids were 18. I've just seen them as like little kids.
Are they online?
I didn't look them up or anything, but I mean, I have not seen any pictures of his kids grown. I think she's a twin to one of his other boys.
Is it Nevada Alexander Musk?
Yeah, I believe so.
I don't see any images of her.
I would imagine that he has enough money to keep images of his kids offline. You know what I'm saying? And he's like tech guru, so
Well, you were right. They're only pictures of him with little kids. Yeah, they're not on here. Not at all. No, you're
okay. I
right.
mean, here's one where they look like they're a little bit older. That might be her. So if you go to uh the teal mango, it's let's see, can I share my screen? Let me see if I can share my screen. This one, and can you see my screen?
No, I can't. I can't see it.
You cannot see the screen.
Oh, there it is. Sharing it.
Okay, can you see this?
Yeah. It's going. It's loading.
It's loading. Come on.
Mm-mm. Screen sharing will automatically resume.
It didn't work.
Uh, oh, yeah, it is. There it is. Yeah, it is. I see it.
Okay,
Ah, yeah.
right here.
Oh,
Can you
yeah,
see
but
it?
it's difficult. Yeah, yeah, I
It's not
see it.
working.
Yeah, I see him.
Oh, you saw it? Okay.
Yeah. They do look older,
Yeah, and
but
then there
but
is
there's not a
one of
whole
them
lot
in
though.
here. Yeah, I think I see which one it is. But yeah, that's pretty much the only one I see. Yeah, I mean, he does a good job of keeping his kids offline for sure. As far as images.
Oh, he's
That's
got to your
literally the
point. He's
only one
got
I
the money.
see, and they're like teenagers.
Because to your point, he has the money.
Yeah.
He has the money to do all that to like ensure that there's not a lot of pictures in there. And I'm surprised that the child hasn't come out like with an interview or something. Just that he wants to remove his name from Elon's.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it makes you wonder like what really is happening like with her, right? To
Hmm.
where she said she doesn't want anything to do with him. Like I can't imagine if you knew that your dad loved you and cared for you and all these things, that over a couple comments on Twitter you would be like, I don't want anything to do with him, when he's literally like the richest person in the world. So it's like what else is going on within that would make you say like I don't want anything to do with him.
I honestly think that even though he likes being a dad, I don't really think he has a whole lot of time to be a dad.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
And
he's definitely doing a lot to be Daddy Musk for the entire world, trying to save humanity.
on top of that, on top of his other children, on top of his other relationships, and on top of his social life, like there's not a lot of room there.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm curious how. I mean, even though he says I love being a dad, which I'm sure he does, but is he really truly sharing in the responsibility of raising those children?
Yeah.
I, you know what?
Well,
To be
and
honest,
I I think
go ahead.
they lived with their mother for the most part,
I'm gonna
and he
make
had them on the weekends.
I'm gonna make this huge assumption that probably not. You know, if he, it just, I mean, I just, yeah, I don't know. Unless he keeps it scrubbed on the internet, but there's really hasn't been pictures. So, like, you've seen pictures of Angelina Jolie and all her kids. You've seen pictures of Brad Pitt and all his kids, right? But there's really hasn't
Yeah.
been a lot of pictures of Elon and all his kids. And he's got a lot of kids. So that's why I'm like curious if that's the
Yeah.
case. You can't. It just seems
Well,
even if
he's
he had
very
all the resources.
secretive with his kids, right?
Yeah.
Like the new little girl baby, like nobody even knew about that baby until it was born, and like crying in a room during an interview. You know what I'm saying? Like
Um,
he's he really just does a really good job of that,
Saw it with
keeping them
Grimes
behind the
DJing.
scenes.
I just remember when she had that. There it is. There she is with the Grimes baby. I just him and Grimes don't seem like a match to me.
Yeah, somebody said that he was spotted with some new girl on a lunch date or something. I don't know.
They may have one of those relationships where, you know what? Never mind. I take that back. I do see him as with they are a match. I just looked at his ex-wife, one of his ex-baby's mamas, and they favor each other. So I take that back. He definitely has a type for sure.
His
It's a
other
blonde.
kids' moms, they look just normal. They just look like a normal white lady.
She does. She does. They do look
But the
like
new
normal.
one,
He likes
she does not look normal. She's very wild, like
what, the new
eclectic.
girlfriend?
Yeah, yeah, Grimes, right? Like she's eclectic. She is
Mhm.
just got this like alien-esque style to her.
Her conversations are like weird. I like
Yeah.
listen to her and it's kind of like interesting. But it's just interesting to see how she expresses herself too,
Hmm.
right? And how she
Yeah.
discusses things and how like she clarifies. Poor thing, they're like canceled for everything. I feel that we live in a day and age that I can't even say anything like before people get
Yeah.
upset for anything. But yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Cancel somebody over one statement, even if that statement was like 20 years ago, right? Like, oh my God, this person made this statement 20 years ago. Like that person hasn't changed since then. Some people don't change. Most people do change though. And shit that they
Or
said when they were in their 20s, they would not say today, you
or
know?
teenagers or
Yeah.
teenagers or high school kids. You know, there's this guy who is a columnist. He used to do, and I don't know if he still does it. It was called, it was a podcast. It was called Savage Love, I believe. I'm trying to figure out what his name was. The creator of that, the journalist. What was his name? I guess maybe Savage Love is
Yeah.
also a music video, but his okay, here it is. It was a podcast. Dan Savage. He was a
Oh, okay.
podcast,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you've heard of him,
I've heard of him.
but
Yeah.
he has a kid, and he was saying, and this was Dan Savage was saying this 10 years ago. Had to be 20, no, more than that, maybe 2050. He said, my kid is not going to be able, this was before cancel culture, right? or in the beginning of it, not even, maybe way before. He was saying, "There's gonna be a time at age that whatever my kid says or does or videotapes is gonna be carried into his adult life. Yeah, and I'm terrified for it."
Mhm.
And he is 100% right. The whatever you say, whatever dumb thing you say when you're a kid has an impact, has something that's gonna can impact your livelihood, right? And I see on TikTok, I see a lot of young kids say and do some really dumb things. And people have to keep in mind that when a 12-year-old says something dumb, they just say it because they just say it. It doesn't, there's nothing really behind it, right? It's not the
Mhm.
fact that it's the parents' time to say, okay, I don't agree with what the child said. I'm going to tell him, I'm going to call him out on it, but you know,
Yeah.
they can't be punished forever because of it.
Yeah. Luckily, when we were kids that age, we didn't have technology to capture all the stupid shit we were saying and doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And kids say some dumb stuff. Rude, dumb things that come out of their mouths. But at the end of the day, their brains aren't fully formed. And I think that's where
Yeah.
people need to show a little bit of compassion, right? And they don't. And they don't. But you know what? I did learn a lesson in compassion because you know how Britney Spears, she acts very different in on her Instagrams. But then you realize this girl has been under the control of her family, right, for so long after she had her
Hmm.
breakdown, has been to the point that the severity of her, like she couldn't take out birth control from her body, right? Like all of these things that she couldn't do because she was under a conservatorship, medical decisions were made for her, right? I
Yeah.
don't want to have children. No, you're going to get an IUD. Like all of these things that a conservatorship does, and when she could post and how she could post and all of these things, like that's why she acts the way she does on camera, right? You have to, you have, sometimes you got to look at people and be a little bit more sensitive. And I think
Hmm.
in her case, that's the case. She posted something recently where she was dancing around, just a little dancing around, but I mean, she doesn't know any better. That's what she knows.
She's like a teenager who just got her freedom, essentially.
Yeah, and to think that her kids are big too.
Yeah. That's definitely a special situation because what really is going on, nobody knows, right? Nobody knows if Britney Spears really had an IQ level that's not sufficient to care for herself or whatever the reason was that she was under a conservatorship, you know? And she had kids, and what would that be like to be that kid, right? Like your mom was not even able to care for herself, let alone care for someone else.
She she had a mental breakdown, right? Because of her breakup, because of her whatever, because of her kids. She had the kids taken away from her.
Well, that's what we were
And
told, right? Like
yeah,
that's what we were all
yeah.
told happened.
Yeah, but if you think about it, that's not that's happened to women, not just Britney, the Britney conservatorship, but that's happened to women. Like there's women that have been so abused by their partner that during a divorce, that when they try, committing suicide, have some sort of mental breakdown because the person that they were married to abused them so severely that they take away their kids, right? And you're thinking about it like you're giving the kids to the person that put this woman in that situation to begin with. And I've
Yeah,
seen that
that person
happen
too.
several times, several times. Or and then the thing is that people, because people don't know the details, people judge them. They're like, "Oh, they took her kids away because she
Yeah.
was like unfit." Well, they don't know the situation behind that. They don't know the
Well,
situation behind that.
and what sucks with a lot of those cases too is it's so many different things, right? Like people who get their kids taken away because of they don't have sufficient living situations, because they can't make enough money, because they can't work, because they can't afford childcare. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's just this because they also can't get out of the situation of being abused by their partner because they can't afford to, because there's no things to help, right? Oh, there's WIC and there's food stamps and shit like that, but that doesn't really help pay your bills, your living expenses, your daycare. And people
Mm-mm.
want to talk about the daycare help that is given, especially here in Texas, is just there. Yeah, we need people in offices that literally care about the people. Yeah,
Yeah. They're doing like bare minimum. Bare
yeah,
minimum. They're giving bare minimum, right? Which is fine. It's sufficient to eat, but at the same time, like, where are you gonna live?
yeah. I don't even think they're giving bare minimum energy anymore. I think they're just like, I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want, and if I get money,
Mm-hmm.
oh well. Like,
It's sad.
crazy.
It's incredibly sad. So yeah, I just feel like that's what that I feel like something was done to this poor lady, and now she's getting her life back together, and I just need just a little bit more empathy for how
Yeah.
she's like getting it together, because it's got to be very difficult to finally let go where you're everything that you do, you know somebody has control over.
Mm-hmm.
And now
Yeah.
it's interesting for sure. But yeah, that's what I've been like. That's been like the pop culture that's been going on. I don't know if there's anything else going on. Just Brad again going on camera, the Jolie Pitt kid dancing around, the Kim Kardashian saying she introduced Pete to her kids 6 months after she started dating him, that she talked to therapists
Cool.
and therapists were okay. I don't know, it's definitely a woman's prerogative. Like when a woman feels it's ready for a man to meet her children, that is 100% her decision. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. If I don't see marriage in the future with that person, probably not. Well, I have not introduced my kids to very many people at all that I've dated. Not like I've dated a ton of people, but there's only a small select people I've brought around my kids.
it makes sense, right? Why are you going to
And I
bring
saw
people
long
in?
term. Yeah, if I don't see
Yeah,
long term with that person, no way.
yeah. And we tend to forget that Pete's, what, 28 years old?
He's
The Yeah, he's young. Like I mean, he's young enough to know. Like, he's not like young, but I mean, he's in his 20s. People tend to forget Pete's in the 20s. It's not, we live in a day and age that it's not so much. I remember it was a big deal when a woman was much older than a man. Right now, it's not a big deal. Nobody's even making anything with that. I forget that Pete's only 28 though.
yeah, and
I was
Kim's
like
what? How old is Kim? 40?
40, 41, 40. Yeah,
41. Yeah. Crazy.
yeah. I know, but you wouldn't
Kanye's
think it.
45, Pete's 28. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, he's young. He's young. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. I don't know, personal preference. I don't know if I could date anyone 28. To me, that just, you just haven't lived through certain life experiences that you need to have to date someone who's been through the life experiences that I've already been through, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And there's just different life, like, things that you go through at certain ages,
Yeah.
you know? So, hmm, I
So
don't know about
yeah,
that.
it's interesting. I don't know. All right. Do you think it's about that time?
All right, yeah, we can make it about that time.
Sure.
So, if you're interested in hearing more of our podcast, click the subscribe button and you will be notified of any of our new episodes that drop. Have a good one.
Thank you. Hey, Michelle.